Welcome to the Birdbrain podcast, where the goal is to rise above it all, stay elevated, create that infinity, and up you. I'm your host, Isaiah, and today I wanted to talk about purpose. Living in your purpose, working in your purpose, all those things. If you're doing it, if you've questioned whether or not you're doing it right, like myself, or if you think that you're veering off the beaten path, I kind of have some things to give you a telltale sign in terms of whether or not you are living in your purpose or if you are avoiding it. So stay tuned. If you like this podcast, you like what's being put out there, and you want to help it out, subscribe, comment, rate, review. It would help in such an amazing way. You have no idea. And it's always greatly appreciated. Take what you need, pass on the rest. All right. So stay tuned, guys. Rise above it all. Stay elevated. And create that infinity of your you. Of your you. So before I get started, I want to give a special shout out to the mom, just because I have a candle lit right now. It's actually a candle I've been refusing to light for quite some time, just because one, it's sentimental, and she sent it. She sent a bunch of candles actually, but two, I don't want to use it. But it's an amazing smell, and whenever I do anything artistic, I like candles because I like fragrances. And the irony is I have a horrible sense of smell. Like, my sinuses are ridiculously bad, but I love candles. I love lighting a candle. It's something, relaxing and peaceful about it. So shout out to the mom for hooking me up with all these damn candles. And it's one of my little things that I do whenever I sit down to do anything artistic, draw, write, podcast. Anything. It's very relaxing and it smells amazing. So my room always smells heavenly. So yeah, man, shout out. Appreciate you. And how's it going, guys? I know it's been a minute. It's probably been about a week, but your boy was sick. And there was no way in hell I was trying to sound like the Exorcist on this podcast. So, a part of me felt bad that I hadn't recorded. I was like, damn, I'm missing a week. I can't afford to miss a week. And I was like, nah, self-care, it's important. And, a lot of times it takes me being sick to realize that, to take a step back, because I'm kind of a knucklehead and I have a weird threshold for pain of any kind. But this time I forced myself. I was like, look, you're not feeling good? Take a break. Take a load off A&A. Right? That's the song. So anyway, guys, how are you? How have you been? How's the week been? How's the month been? February's over in a couple of days. We're already in March. I can't deal. And it's been a crazy 2 months for me personally. But I want to hear how you guys are doing. If you want to talk about it, hit me up at the birdbrainpodcast@gmail.com or just DM me. The podcast has its own Instagram handle, so the Birdbrain Podcast, just reach out. I love hearing from people. So, hit me up. So today's topic is all about purpose, and had quite some time thinking about, my purpose. What's my purpose? Am I on the path of my purpose? And if I'm just doing things right now, in terms of, I'm a very curious person. That's full disclosure. I'm a very, very curious person. I ask a lot of questions, even if they're not out loud. I'm constantly asking questions in my head, the why of things, and honestly, it drives me crazy. It really drives me up the wall, because I'm always wondering, if things are happening in any case, not just with me, but if things are happening the way they're supposed to be happening. And, I'm not curious for the sake of being nosy. A lot of times if things don't apply to me or have nothing to do with me, I just say it's none of my business and I keep it moving. But, my curiosity is more about just becoming better, any way I can figure out to do better and be better. I'm going to ask those questions. I'm going to kind of take stock in what I'm doing and what I have around me, what's going on, who I have around me. And, recently has been no different. If anything, recently it's been much more of an emphasis on purpose than anything else. Just because, well, one, I've been sick, so I haven't been able to do much, but rest. And it's kind of had me in a place of just kind of, the thing about me is like, I love to be doing something. I hate being stagnant. It drives me up the wall. It drives me absolutely crazy. I don't like being stagnant. I don't like not having anything to do, and not even just busy work. I like doing things that leave me feeling somewhat fulfilled at the end of the day. And if that doesn't happen, I kind of lose my mind. So, with that being said, with the past couple of weeks, it's been slow. So I've just kind of been asking that question, what's going on? What can be fixed? What am I doing? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And, even when I get frustrated because of things not necessarily playing out the way I have in my mind, as we all do, you have expectations of things to go a certain way because you think that you're doing A, B, and C, and A, B, and C is supposed to equal, D, but A, B, and C equals Q. And you're like, what the hell is going on? I did everything I was supposed to be doing. Why is this not kind of happening in a very linear way? So it became, lately it's become more of a question. And I guess as you get older, you start to wonder that too, because you start looking at how old you are, and you look at, well, I don't want to say you, but myself personally, I tend to look at, everything in hindsight, not dwelling on the past, but just looking at the journey up until this point. Doesn't make sense. It doesn't seem to be, on a very linear line, or does it seem a little wobbly? Do things seem a little more convoluted? And, it can be very, very mind-boggling, very elusive. I'm a harsh critic of myself in terms of like, all right, what's going on? What am I doing? What should I be doing? How do we get to the next step? And it's in my head, I can be a very still person on the outside, but I promise you, my insides are usually just going through it. The way I could, if I could give you guys a mental picture, just think about like a office where there's just papers flying everywhere and people are going crazy, running back and forth. And there's so much happening, and amidst all that chaos, there's like one person just sitting in a corner, chilling, minding his damn business, doing his work, and staying on task. And that's when I usually kind of hunker down and think more about my purpose. So that visualization is kind of like a description of how things go for me. When it seems like I'm losing focus, or things seem to be spiraling out of control, I kind of center myself, or over time I just center myself. I'll allow myself to be frustrated. I'll allow myself to have that space. And the reason why I do that is because within that frustration and that chaos and all those things and that ambiguity and that elusiveness, I usually figure out a little bit more about what the real issue is at hand. And it's usually not the situation itself. It's more or less something else that's kind of rooted. And, I think that's great. in terms of just letting yourself be angry sometimes, letting yourself be pissed, letting yourself be frustrated, because the truth of the matter is, the truth of that situation and the truth of why you're feeling the way you do is somewhere in that. The situation is just acting as a stimulant, but what's really going on is very much rooted into that. And if you can give yourself the space, give yourself the permission to kind of feel what you need to feel, you'll figure out who you are. And also you'll figure out your purpose too. At least in my opinion. Again, I can only talk to you guys from a space of what I have experienced and what I continue to experience and what I'm experiencing now. I was talking to my mom the other day, and we were talking about the months and how February is is the start of the new year always. January is a test drive. But I was telling her, I was like, yeah, January and February are always ugly months in my head. Like, they're just very clouded. And for me personally, things seem to kind of start to make more sense, or I feel a little lighter when February is over. And I don't know why that is, but it just happens. But also, in terms of purpose, I've been looking at the things that I've pursued, the people that I'm around, the people that I attract, and the people that are attracted to me. The people who are just kind of, again, going back to magnetism, the people who are magnetized. And I realized, my purpose in some way, shape, or form is to just be of service, to be a helper. And looking back, I've always kind of been like that. In a weird way, always made it a point to be a helper. It used to drive me nuts because I found myself helping very toxic situations or being on a different side of it. And I'm like, damn it, I just feel drained. Like, what is going on? Why is this happening? And then I started to realize, well, while you're a helper, you still have to help yourself. That's key. But overall, you cannot deny your purpose and what you're meant to do and how you're meant to operate. And then I look at, my family. I look at my aunts. I look at my mom. I look at my sister. They're all very, very much people that are, one, about community. I'm just going through the line right now, and all of them are a big component of their community. In some way, shape, or form, they are a very huge component of their community. And not in a selfish way. It's just that they are very much people that are about community. And, some people can tie it to gender, whatever the case may be. But personally, I'm like, no, I just look at them as helpers. They are very much helpers in their own way, but also in very obvious ways. And there's a distinction between, genuinely being a helper or helping with strings attached. And, that's a whole nother conversation. But when I say this, it's goes back to the whole concept of purpose. What do you find yourself doing? Who do you find yourself around? That's usually an indication of what your purpose is. And, even though you can't see yourself, you see the people that you are in cahoots with, the people that you are constantly involved with. And not everybody may not be on the same, path or have the same intentions as you. But a lot of times, more often than not, you find yourself, with people that reflect your values, your core values, your behavior, your goals, and just your journey. And I started looking at that. I started looking at the people that I'm around now. A lot of them are, one, artist, very much self-sufficient, and very much, they're very giving people. And again, in an obvious way or in their own way, they are very much giving people. and I love being around them. They're very much people of service of some kind. And, even as an artist, I realized, I'm like, at first I was thinking about it. I'm like, well, how does an artist, an artist, some people may look at it as a very vain, very selfish career pursuit. But then I realized, even myself, when I ask myself, all right, why are you pursuing what it is that you're pursuing? What's the end goal? What do you want from it? And a lot of times if you ask the question and you're really honest with yourself, you'll get the answer. And for me, I realized, I was like, my underlying driving force is to be an inspiration to someone else, to be able to have a positive effect on someone else and have them say, you know what, because of you or because of this guy's story, I'm doing what I'm doing and I'm not going to give up. I refuse to give up. And I can help someone. I realize I can help someone through my art, through my pursuit, just by being present. Like anything that I do has the intentions of being able to help someone else. And that's when I finally decided or realized, I was like, well, you're a helper. You've always been a helper is what you do. And it's just what you're going to do throughout life. And, once you make peace with that, you kind of start aligning with the things that kind of make sense in terms of your purpose. So for you guys out there, if you are trying to figure it out, ask yourself or just sit still and just say, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? What have I been doing? What sticks out? One is the thing that you tend to be good at, and that does not involve a lot of pulling teeth in terms of work, in terms of effort. It's very fluid and you feel fulfilled. You don't feel empty when you do these things. That's usually an indication of your purpose. For me, besides just the artistic side, I'm also a trainer, a personal trainer. So health is also a thing, and everybody, health is a universal thing that's important to everyone. And if I can help someone, be healthier, then yeah, I'm going to do that. And I again, that was another indication that I'm a helper. I've always considered being a therapist. And again, that's also in the, in the realm of helping. Everything I do, I realize is all about trying to help, trying to understand, clarity, evolution, change, progression. And again, even in my art, like everything is not only expression, but, a way to connect to other people in a sincere way, and, the journey in itself can be a little bit rocky and frustrating and ambiguous and not necessarily clear, but just trust yourself. Trust what it is that you're doing. If you are in your purpose at this moment, just trust it. And as I say that to you, I say that to myself. And if you're not in your purpose, just ask yourself, what am I doing, or what is it that I need to do? What has it been that I am not giving, my full attention to? Sit there, take in the answer, see what it is. Ask those hard questions, or ask the people around you. Ask the people that you spend a lot of your time with, and just see, what do you see me as? Or what do you find me doing? What archetype do I play in your life? Ask those questions, and you'll be surprised at what people say. And it's great. It's a great perspective shift, and it's a lot of enlightenment if you are not sure at this moment. So yeah, guys, I challenge you to do that this week, or just to do it moving forward, because there's nothing worse than just going through life in a fog, and any little clarity tends to help. So yeah, hope you guys have an amazing week. I hope you guys are just making it a point to stay elevated and, be that beacon of hope for someone else if you can, and just keep moving forward, being positive and spreading that love. I love chatting with you guys. I love when I bring it here and we have these conversations, and it's going to be a great year of more conversations because I get tired of listening to myself talk. So there are some very amazing people that I will be having on this podcast, and I'm excited to share their stories. I'm excited to share their journeys because they are very exceptional people. And that's not just a bias. I think as a whole, anyone who meets them will be like, you know what? Yeah, he's a great person, great story, great background. So, yes, guys, I wish you the best this week. Sending all the love, all the light. Take flight.